Sino ba ang nag-advise sa Congress na ipas tong salt iodization law na to? Sino ba nagbigay? Ano, sabihin niyo sa akin kung sino ang nag-influence sa Congress na ipas to. Kasi kung mag-i-import din kayo na hindi iodized tapos ire-require niyo yung local na iodized, tama ba yun? Sino nag-ano nito sa Congress na ipas yan? Ha? Sino nag-influence sa Congress na ipas ito? Pinatay nito ang salt industry. Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. Ms. Attorney Escoto.
Madam Chair, distinguished senators, fellow resource persons, guests, good morning to everyone. The Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources would like to provide its comment on Senate Bills 1334 and 1450 and Senate Resolution 2011. With regard to Senate Bills number 1334 and 1450, the BFAR supports the provisions of the bills that aim to revitalize the local salt industry and prevent the country's full dependence on imported salt, which is in line with the policy of the state provided in the Fisheries Code of ensuring the promotion and achievement of food security as the overriding consideration in the utilization, management, development, conservation, and protection of fishery resources in order to provide the food needs of the population. While challenges exist in the local salt industry, the ABFAR will continue to address them within its powers and mandates. This Bureau recognizes that salt as an aquatic resource is very crucial to our fisheries industry, as it is a major ingredient in fish processing and fish preservation. This Bureau lauds the above-mentioned bills, which will immensely help our local salt production industry. It will revitalize the industry, ensure salt self-sufficiency, provide jobs, and additional revenue for our economy. As to Resolution number 2011, the BFAR support the Senate directive, particularly its prime purpose of initiating new policies and the evaluation of existing measures for the local salt industry to be self-sufficient. The DABFAR is supportive of most of the provisions of the Senate bills and is ready and willing to participate in the technical working group meetings of the committee in further enhancing the proposed legislation. Further, we will submit our detailed position paper, which will incorporate our suggestions and comments on the provisions of the bills after the hearing, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair.
I just want to ask a question from the BFAR, because I think you are that agency of the government who should be which will be concerned with the salt industry, because they are in the waters, and you are the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. Because according to write-ups, in the 1960s and 1970s, we produced 240,000 metric tons of salt. Okay, today, we only produce 42,000, which is 7% of the demand, metric tons of salt. So we have gone down 42,000 against 240,000. 42,000 is just about 15%, diba, of what we were producing before. What do you think of that? What happened? Can you enlighten us about that?
Madam Chair, previously, Madam Chair, before last year, 2022, the ABFAR is not actually engaged in the salt industry nor in regulating the salt industry. But during our initial meetings, Madam Chair, and in the consultations made, PhilAsin has provided for a detailed presentation, which includes some analysis on why the salt industry declined through the years. So I think, Madam Chair, if, with the indulgence of Madam Chair.
I'm just concerned that the Department of Agriculture is not interested on salt. No matter how I look at it, it's part of the food industry, di ba? Salt. We eat salt. Oo. So why are you not concerned with salt? The Department of Agriculture. Why? The findings is that nobody is interested in the salt industry. Oh, but I would think that they said that it's DNR, but the DNR will just give permit to use the shoreline for the salt industry or the land for the salt industry. But since it's a kind of food, then the DA should be concerned about the salt. Oh, di ba? Oh, kasi nagtuturo-turuan na kayo kung sino in charge ng salt industry. I would like to believe that it's the Department of Agriculture.
Madam
Di
Chair,
ba? Yes.
Madam Chair.
Senator Binay, we recognize Senator
Yes,
Binay.
siguro Madam Chair, maganda din malaman, sino ba nagbibigay ng import permit for salt? Nanggagaling ho ba to sa DA?
Kung nagbibigay ng import permit.
Hindi po sa DA, ma'am.
Sino nagbibigay ng import permit for salt? Ibig mo sabihin, walang nagbibigay ng import permit and we can import salt? Yes.
The FDA issues permit for salt importers, iodized salt importers, and salt
So
products.
you are in charge of the salt
For the
industry?
iodized salt po.
Ano?
Iodized salt for human consumption.
Lahat nga, ginawa niyong iodized salt eh. Oh, di kayo in charge.
For the
So, nagtataka ako dito sa gobyerno to. Pag-import, nagkakagulo kayo kung sino in charge. Pero pag developmental, walang gustong umamin kung sino in charge. Ba't ikaw ang mag-i-import? Alam mo ba kung ano ang situation ng supply and demand? Sino ang boss mo na nagsabi sa iyo na ikaw ang mag-issue ng import permit?
I'm referring po dun sa iodized salt po.
Lahat nga ginawa niyong iodized salt by legislation eh. Di ba yung legislation? Yun yung nag-provide ng iodized salt. Di lahat ng salt is iodized.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, okay.
Kaya po
Senator
tayo
Villanueva.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Una, kaya po tayo nag-file ng bill. Dahil nga po lahat, tama po si Madam Chair, iodized salt. Kaya napakagandang pag-usapan po yan. Maganda yung pinuna ni Senator Nancy, sino yung nagbibigay ng import permits kasi malalaman po natin doon dahil 93% ng ating salt ay ini-import natin. So ibig sabihin talagang merong demand yung salt pero wala tayong produksyon. Nako, mas malaking problema natin kung may produksyon tayo, nag-i-import pala tayo. Kaya siguro, Madam Chair, magandang itanong, pero ayoko sanang iwanan muna yung tinatanong po natin, sino yung
Senator Villanueva, it's FDA. FDA daw ang nag-i-issue ng import permit.
Okay.
Tinatanong ko sa kanila, do they have a knowledge of the industry? What is the supply and what is the demand? How can they issue import permit if they have no knowledge of the salt industry? Do you have a knowledge of the salt industry as FDA? Ms. Tuason? Ang basis ng importation.
We're referring po dun sa mga iodized salt po na intended for human consumption.
Lahat nga ginawa nyo ng iodized. So, we're referring to salt for human consumption kasi under the law, you made all salt iodized.
So yung pong hindi po iodized salt, hindi
Wala
po
nang
under ng
hindi
FDA po.
iodized eh. Hinuhuli nga yung hindi
Illegal
iodized.
nga yun eh.
Bawal.
O paano nyo
Madam,
nade-determine kung sa ano ang i-import?
Only po yung mga iodized salt food products, iodized salt po per se,
O how
ng
do you know what is the iodized
Yung
salt?
pong may-
That's the whole industry, the iodized salt. So don't qualify pa kasi pina-legislate nyo na lahat ng salt iodized. Kaya when you talk of iodized salt, that's the whole salt industry. So how do you determine the importation?
Yung pong mga nag-apply lang po sa FDA na may Certificate of Product Registration, yun lang pong allowed na mag-import po ng iodized salt.
Madam Chair,
Ay, Senator Binay.
siguro maganda kong malaman, ano bang treatment natin sa salt? Is this an agricultural product or ano ho bang classification ng salt?
It's for food. So it's agricultural product.
But apparently, Madam Chairperson, parang hindi siya
And the mere
treated.
fact that it's
ng-
being allowed to come in through the FDA, di ba yung FDA is food din yun?
Yes, ma'am, food din.
Food din yan eh.
Human grade, food grade.
Siguro, Madam Chair, sinong in charge sa DA for salt?
Wala daw.
Wala, ma'am, wala.
Wala?
Wala.
Uy,
As
sobra
a product,
naman yan.
ano ho ba, DTI? Madam
Yes,
Chairperson, parang
we hear
Madam Chair, parang napakalaki ng problema natin talaga sa asin dahil apparently wala sa pamahalaan ang in charge sa salt.
from Bifar.
Yes, ma'am. Apo, sometime ma'am in 2021, there was a House of Representatives resolution that was issued tasking the Bureau to take charge of salt programs. And because of that resolution, Madam, and by virtue of that resolution, a 100 million was incorporated in Bayanihan funds uh, to the DA budget, and that was directly downloaded from the DA to the different regional directors. But this is the first time in 2022 that such resolution was issued and that such budget was provided. In Yes, ma'am. In 2023, Madam, this 2023, we have 100 million budget that was allocated for salt development program. But everything started only with from the 2022 Bayanihan funds, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, permission to speak.
Yes, can you introduce yourself? We acknowledge.
My name is Gerard Konghun from Asinan. I would like to try to address the question. So the question is, who issues import permit and what does that look like on the ground in procedure? So when you import, there are mostly two kinds of sources of importation. One is from Australia, and the other is from China. So who issues the import permit? The, importers that want to import salt will go to the Bureau of Customs and ask for a customs import permit. Yes, it's an import permit so that they can import goods from abroad, including salt. So
Conflict of interest yun? Ikaw ang nagpapapasok, ikaw rin ang nag-i-issue ng import permit? Ba't sinasabi nila sila nag-i-issue ng import permit?
okay, I will just
FDA.
qualify that. So the Bureau of Customs issues an import permit, and then importers are required to get certification from the FDA to present that some of that salt will be iodized. When the salt comes in from Australia, it is not yet iodized, Madam Senator.
No, when you passed that law, you demanded that the local salt be iodized. Tapos ngayon, mag-i-import kayo ng salt na hindi iodized. Ano ba yan? Ano bang malaking kalokohan yan? Di sana pinayagan nyo na lang yung local producer na hindi iodized at ni-require nyo na lang na may manufacturer na mag-iodize. Kung ganun din lang ang gagawin nyo na mag-i-import kayo ng hindi iodized tapos i-require nyo yung iodized. Ano ba yan? Why was this law passed?
Yeah, so
Sino ba ang nag-advise sa Congress na ipas tong salt iodization law na to? Sino ba nagbigay? Ano, sabihin niyo sa akin kung sino ang nag-influence sa Congress na ipas to. Kasi kung mag-i-import din kayo ng hindi iodized tapos i-require niyo yung local na iodized, tama ba 'yun? Sino nag-ano nito sa Congress na ipas 'yan? Ha? Sino nag-influence sa Congress na ipas ito? Pinatay nito ang salt industry.